I really couldn't think of a cool name for this build. The Walking Meteor was the first thing that popped into my head besides Impulse Justice Dance, so I picked the lesser of two evils and here we are. Also, I know what you guys are gonna tell me.
But Mr. Hebrew, why didn't you make this build for a male human? They're supposed to be melee fighters, not females.
I know males are technically stronger melee fighters, but this was one of my first OG characters from Xenoverse 1 and I just couldn't bear to leave her out of my squad. Unfortunately, this also means that I don't have a single slot open for my male human. I know, it sucks. But if it's any consolation, I'll be able to make not just a male human, but 7 other completely new characters, all with unique builds once Xenoverse 2 goes on sale on Steam. Of course, I'll either have to get my PC fixed or get a completely new one by then, but it'll open up another avenue of content I can put on this channel with mod showcases and whatnot. Alright. That's enough about stuff I don't have. Let's talk about something I do have, an awesome Kaioken using melee build. I treat my melee characters a little bit different than I do my Ki Blasters. For most of my Ki Blasters, I primarily designed them with the intent of setting up high damage Ki Blast combos with barely any melee focus aside from whittling down an opponent's stamina, or breaking their guard. My Strikers, on the other hand, make heavy use of melee combos and tying my skills in whenever I deem it necessary. I also use my stamina more offensively with my Strikers, blinking after finishing certain combos and chaining them together with Strike Supers while I avoid the A button like the plague with my Ki Blasters. So now the context for how I use my melee fighters is out of the way, we can get to the nitty gritty, starting with the gear. I noticed a lot of people asking where I get certain clothing, so from now on I'll briefly mention the sets I wear with these characters as well as where you get them. This character specifically wears the Future Trunks top that can be purchased from the TP Metal Shop, not to be confused with the long sleeve Trunks Capsule Corporation clothes which can be purchased from the normal clothing shop, the Hero Suit Demon version bottoms that you can get by giving yellow Majin children food, and the base Time Patroller boots and gloves which are the default clothes you get with a new human character. On with my QQ Bang, I chose one that gives you +5 in Ki, Stamina, and Strike Supers, -2 in Health, -3 in Basic Attacks, and -5 in Ki Blast Supers. I actually have another QQ Bang which I thought at the time of crafting it was near God tier for this character. That one gives +5 in Ki and Strike Supers, +4 in Basic Attacks, +1 in Stamina, and -5 in Health and Ki Blast Supers. Already sounds better than the first one, right? Well, those lost 4 points in Stamina really puts a dent in that bar, reducing it from 8 to 6. I know it doesn't sound like much, but for a Kaioken build, good stamina management is king, and the first QQ Bang doesn't hurt my overall DPS too much, so I decided to use that one. Next up is my Super Soul, which makes this build as special as it is. I've been saving this, Kaioken. In its description, this Super Soul advertises that you get an extra large bonus to Ki regeneration, which makes it pretty much similar to Potential Unleashed, a large bonus to stamina recovery, which I'll address when I'm talking about my transformation, and a medium boost to normal attacks on top of the damage boost from Kaioken itself. Finally, let's look at my attribute setup. Like most of my characters who aren't tanks like good old Captain Big Mac, the majority of my points went into my damage stats. So I roll with 125 in basic attacks since the majority of the battle will be with basic attacks, and 100 in strike supers. Now I'm not the biggest fan of leaving my stamina at an uneven number, so I felt a need based entirely on my OCD to put 42 points into my stamina to jump the bar all the way up to 8, while the rest of the 78 points went into health. Oh, and before I forget, let me go ahead and mention some stamina break combos. There are 3 that I use with this build. The first and easiest is what I dub the Paralysis Palm. Just do 1 heavy attack, 3 light attacks, and do a light stamina break after the blink. The second one is the exact same thing but with a heavy stamina break instead. I don't really use that one often since doing a light stamina break allows me to get into a combo much faster. Finally, we have what I call, what the fuck is wrong with me? The Booty Palm. It was the first thing that popped in my head, leave me alone. Anyway, its execution is simple. Just do 4 heavy attacks and do a light stamina break. Like the sweeping gut punch on my male Saiyan, you need to be quick with the light stamina break on this one, otherwise your opponent can roll out of it. But it is a lot easier to land if you're on the ground. As always, let's briefly talk about skills before we get to the signature tricks of this build. My escape move, like most of my builds, is hyper movement. If you know my other builds, you know exactly how this works. Anyway, let's go ahead and break down exactly what makes Kaioken so detrimental for this build. I'll save the big details for my guide, but for now, I'll just mention that I primarily use Kaioken times 3. What this does is grant a small damage boost which is raised further for basic attacks thanks to your Super Soul, but it also reduces the stamina consumption of my vanishing moves by half. So vanishing after completing a combo takes half a bar, and vanishing after opponent's basic attacks takes 1 bar. As compensation for this better stamina management, Kaioken times 3 drains stamina roughly about as fast as Purification, although Purification is getting a buff soon, so probably not anymore. But this is where my Super Soul really shines. Like I mentioned earlier, this Super Soul boosts stamina regeneration when using Kaioken. That boost is so substantial that you no longer drain stamina but instead regain it really slowly when using base Kaioken, and it completely negates any stamina drain or regeneration when using Kaioken times 3. But only if you go straight into Kaioken times 3. The boost won't kick in if you use Kaioken, then boost it further later. As a comparison, I did 6 light attacks, 4 heavy attacks, the booty palm combo, Jesus fucking Christ, Meteor Blow, and Justice combination using this build, as well as using it with Potential Unleashed, and they did 11,737 and 12,363 damage respectively. That's only a 626 damage difference between a powerhouse transformation and one that's nearly at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to damage output. When it comes to super and ultimate moves, I made them slightly similar to my original Striker from Xenoverse 1, but I changed on several notes. 3 of the moves are ripped straight from my original build. Those moves are Meteor Blow, Deadly Dance, and Justice combination. I feel like I don't really need to explain why Meteor Blow is one of my favorite strike moves in the game. I mean, what's not really to love about a quick and easy method to connect almost any other strike skill, as well as either stamina break attack? Speaking of connecting other strike skills, Deadly Dance and Justice combination are amazingly easy to combo into. Deadly Dance is easy to connect after any knockback section of a female Earthling's basic attack string, including canceling the second kick from Meteor Blow, and Justice combination can be comboed just about anywhere in a basic attack combo. I also have Sledgehammer on this skill set not only as the primary setup for my second ultimate Impulse Slash, but also for countering ultimates. That's right, Sledgehammer is similar to Arm Crash in that if you fully charge it and land it on an opponent using an ultimate, it'll break their stamina. And what would a Kaioken build be without Rise to Action? My Super Soul may negate any stamina drain Kaioken might have, but that also means I don't regenerate any either. So it's always nice to have a fallback plan whenever I'm low. Now before I get to tricks, I need to mention once again that I treat my melee characters much differently than I do my Ki Blasters and my hybrids. I can't really make a substantial list of reliable tricks, because I use a lot of my stamina to continue combos, and there is just so many ways to do that, which doesn't even mention how I tie my skills into them. So for this section, I'll just list off the basic setups for my supers and my favorite big damage combos. Kicking it off is probably the simplest of anything I do with this build. Start off by doing a Paralysis Palm combo, using Meteor Blow, canceling the second kick to use Deadly Dance, charging at your opponent and doing a full heavy attack combo, or depending on your opponent's stamina, an extended basic attack combo, blinking, then using Justice combination. Quite a mouthful to describe one combo, but whatever. Anyway, there's also several ways that I use to connect Impulse Slash, which is the move I use when I want to go for a flashy finish. The easiest method is to use either the Paralysis Palm or seriously, what the fuck was I thinking? The Booty Palm, following up with Meteor Blow and then canceling the second kick with Impulse Slash. Actually, despite how easy it is to execute, sometimes it can miss on certain opponents. I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why it happens, but this one has a really high chance of missing. So the second one, I guess, is technically the easier one. That second method is one that I briefly touched on earlier. Simply do either Stamina Break combo, immediately use Sledgehammer, and then Impulse Slash. This one will only work if you're either close to the ground or at ground level, otherwise the initial punch won't connect. Your opponent can also roll out of the Ki Blasting half of the move if you don't break their stamina first. And to top off this guide, since I can't really list off all the build's power combos in detail, here's a quick montage-ish thing showing most of the ones that I could think of. I had the hardest time thinking of which of the presets for Kyo to feature in her first build video since I am madly in love with every single one of them. But I think this is a good lead off. Anyway, if you hadn't noticed in the last few videos, I've been trying to improve my editing style, as comical as saying something along the lines of I have an actual style is. So any feedback would be much appreciated. Are my videos actually tolerable to watch now, or am I just adding a bunch of unnecessary crap? Have at it. In case you were wondering, the next build will be on my second female Earthling, who happens to be a Key Blaster, which is also the last character I have on my Xbox One. So sorry to all you guys who are looking forward to a male Earthling build, but that won't be happening until I either get Xenoverse 2 on PC, or get a PS4 and Xenoverse 2 with it. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this build, and I'll see you in the next video.